Team Fury, Tyson Fury and George Warren claim an offer has been sent to Anthony Joshua to fight this summer on a 60-40 split, a very similar one to the one Joshua accepted to fight last year. Now, here's my take on this. I think it's desperation stakes in many ways. I want to say that I am very, very skeptical about this. It's the fourth time. We've had 3 collapses of their fights so far over the last 36 months. Here's what I actually believe is happening. Anthony Joshua is going to fight Dillian Whyte in the summer and Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia in November. Tyson Fury, they are looking for an opponent in the summer, but he will fight Alexander Usyk, I'm told, for $90 million, with Usyk getting $50 to $60 million for the undisputed title in December in Saudi Arabia. Alexander Usyk is obviously defending his WBA title against Daniel Dubois in Poland this summer, mandatory. They will not want to, I think, Joshua's team upset the apple cart again from this progress. He won't want to just cash out against Tyson Fury because there's nothing left for him afterwards. If he does well against Dillian Whyte, if he produces some kind of performance against Deontay Wilder, it's a very tough fight for him. The Fury fight will always be there next year. It doesn't make sense to do it now. I think what's happened is the perfect opponent for Tyson Fury this summer would have been Zhilei Zhang, but Joe Joyce has taken the rematch, so he'll fight him. The problem is they can't find the right opponent for Tyson Fury because he had the fight with Dillian Whyte last year and the gimme against Derek Chisora, and they can't do another gimme. And that's the problem they're in, Nick. That's how I see this scenario. And to add to that, we're hearing Wilder and Joshua will earn around $50 million each for the Saudi Arabia fight. I've got this on good authority. Usyk wants to win in the summer. Fury wants to win in the summer and make that fight happen, but so does Joshua. For me, they're only doing this because they want to fight for Fury that the fans can buy into because his stock has dropped with the fans.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because, listen, you've known Tyson an awful long time. I've known Tyson an awful long time, been around him a long time. And, I would argue with anybody that he remains the best heavyweight on the planet. But his resume doesn't say best heavyweight on the planet. His resume is far from that. He's not fought many of the guys that you'd rank in the top 15 in his entire career. Yes, he's had the incredible trilogy with Deontay Wilder, of course. But other than that, Vladimir Klitschko is probably the standout on his entire record. AJ's fought a lot more guys in the top 10, top 15 than Tyson Fury. I think when you start bringing in guys ranked number 50 in the world, cruiserweights from the weight division below, you're talking about, this guy's got a similar style for Usyk, he's perfect for me. What are we doing here? This is supposed to be the heavyweight champion of the world. As you've just said, Gareth, he's just had a gimme the back end of last year. He hasn't fought, he hasn't defended his belt against a mandatory contender, anyone top ranked with the WBC in over a year now. It was April last year when he fought Dillian Whyte. And that was a mismatch. We were there. Dillian was never going to beat Tyson Fury that night because there's levels to this game. Now, listen, Tyson can only beat the best contenders. But when you're talking about guys who aren't even ranked by the governing body you hold the belt for, we as fight fans and fight media feel like you're conning the public. Okay, you can't make the Usyk fight because there's more money down the road. I get that. I wish they'd have just said that rather than all the pomp and ceremony. I wish they just said, listen, we're going to do it. We're going to do it for undisputed. But right now, it makes no economic sense. End of the year, when the Saudi Arabians come back in with the location fee, that's when we're going to do it. I think most fans are going, okay, I'm not going to argue with that. What are you going to do in the meantime? Usyk's doing the right thing, right? I'll get a mandatory out of the way. Where's Tyson Fury's mandatory? And if you're not going to do your mandatory, let's have a look at the top 10. Take a risk. Go in there with somebody that's on the way up, that's hungry. Actually, Zhang, for me, would have been the perfect opponent.
Yeah.
Is Andy Ruiz still a competitive heavyweight? Is he not in the conversation? Or are they just going to try and find a soft touch this summer? I think the news about the Australian, the Jai Apataya, the cruiserweight, I think all that was feeling out the water to see what the fans' response was. I think unanimously, every fan, even the most ardent Tyson Fury fan, said, absolutely no way am I accepting you defend your belt against the guy ranked number 53 in the world?
Absolutely. Well, look, Frank Sanchez is 4. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be Andy Ruiz, but I'd take Andy Ruiz. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. Like you say, we don't know if he's fit and ready to do it. Clearly, that's not working. They said he's asked too much money. I think he wanted 19 million for it. They put out publicly. Frank Sanchez at 4. Arslanbek Mukhmadov, again, big strong opponent. Martin Bakoli at ranked 7. Yared Anderson. Why not?
That's his boy, isn't it? So I don't think he'll go down that road. But yeah, listen, even a Gasayev or a Filip Hrgovic, at least these are guys that are hungry, that have got undefeated records, that are climbing the charts. When you're talking about a guy that you're handpicking from Australia, it just kind of makes no sense. But you're right. I think it's come back to bite him, Gareth. We think there's been a lot of talk about AJ, and then it came to nothing. And a lot of talk about Usyk, and it came to nothing. And now he's talking about AJ again. These fights aren't realistic. If they're not going to happen, stop talking about it happening, because there's a common denominator when these fights don't happen. And the common denominator is Tyson Fury. So he's just highlighting the fact that, listen, we know AJ is basically lined up to fight Dillian White. So why is Tyson coming out publicly and saying, we've sent an offer to Anthony Joshua? We know he's got something lined up. It's crazy.
It is crazy. But all we want to see is this
best
progression
through
exactly. And of course, Usyk's team won that purse bid last week for the fight with Daniel Dubois. It's going to be in Poland. 12.8 million, outbidding the 5 million put up by Queensberry. I can't imagine Queensberry ever wanted to win that anyway, because they going to have to pay out 75% to Usyk anyway. But like you say, you have to admire the fact that he wants to go ahead and fight and win his belt, retain his mandatory. But it's not satisfactory. Again, Wilder's waiting a long time for his Joshua fight. They're all cashing out. They're all getting close to cashing out. And like you say, the one that stands out at the moment is Usyk, because he's prepared to fight his mandatories. Everyone else is looking for those last few fights. And as we say, if things go a certain way, even if Fury and Joshua lost, that fight is still there, isn't it, next year for those two to meet. But we have really been held up by the heavyweight division for the last few months, and it's been very frustrating. Great stuff, Nick.